Hey, how you doing, Mike?
Yeah. Hey, what's up? How's it
Uh,
going?
all right, pretty good. After that scare that I had just a minute ago, that I forgot that I was doing water changes. What happens is right now it's like really hot in the garage, so I don't live stream for here like I normally do. I go inside the house, and I was sitting in my dining room table talking with you, and then I remembered I said something about it. Every time I'm in the fish room, I said, "Holy idiot!" I forgot that I was doing the water change when I went inside, and it was still going. Luckily, nothing happened. I didn't even get it. I didn't spill any water, but now I got to hang out here at least till I refill it, and then I can go back inside.
All right, hold on. I gotta turn these earbuds off and see if I can just get them to like link up right.
Oh, okay.
I got it's all screwed up.
Well, I can hear you.
Hello?
Yep, you're there.
Okay, it's still coming out of this. Hang on.
Oh,
Let's
okay.
do this. Hey
You're.
everybody. Welcome, welcome. Last minute issue. Okay, I think it fixed itself. All right. All right.
So we're good.
I think so.
Well, that's good. But
All
yeah,
right, cool.
my heart is racing because I thought I was going to walk in here and find water all over the floor, but luckily, no, that was not the case.
Yeah, no, it's hilarious. Like we were just like chilling for that last 5 minutes beforehand. Like I was like, I've never like started on time. And you were like, hold on. And like you jumped up and I was like, take your time, man. Oh good.
Yeah, so you're
Steph
late today because
came.
of me.
Yeah. Dude, hey man, like I ended the stream during the middle of the stream by accident and was having all kinds of issues last week. And woke up with a little bit of anxiety today about it, but once you get some coffee, take a shower, you know what I mean? Like you're good to go.
Yeah, yeah.
So I wanted to talk with you about many, many things.
Okay.
The first thing I wanted to talk about is this guy right here.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so these are gambusia. Anybody who doesn't follow Mexicalli and Warrior Planet Tanks when they are streaming, what is the name of your show again? Something in
Fish,
Moss?
fish plants, imas.
Fish Plants E Moss. Yes. They were talking about different collecting points for gambusia and the slight differences between them, and that there were three different
Oh, there's
species.
more. There's more than three. I think Steve was saying there's three different species just there in the Texas area.
Oh, okay. So we have three different kinds here.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, and that's what he was saying. But there's several different species of gambusia, and what's interesting about them is that in a lot of parts of the world they're considered feeder fish. Uh, like in Mexico,
Right.
they'll collect them and they sell them like they sell feeder fish here in the states.
Right.
But what I found fascinating, and this is all from Steve attending this that local meeting that they had there, that in some circles they're pretty sought out. There's a lot of people that would like to have them. I guess it falls into that whole thing. People always want what they can't have, and when you
Right. It's true.
and when you have it, you take it for granted. So, and I think that's the case with these little fish.
I mean, like, it was definitely the case for me because my plan was I have this tank and then I have one more 20-gallon long with some in it. This population is doing much better, and this is where I put all of the ram's horns that are red. A
Okay.
lot of times I don't sort them and I just throw them all in the tank next door. But sometimes I pull out the red ones and put just the red ones over here. And then
Oh,
occasionally I pull brown ones back out of this one and put them back in the one next door. But this tank seems to be doing very, very well. And these were wild collected from Brushy Creek
Nice.
about a year and a half ago. So I have the collection point for it and everything, so I can add to that site. And was that site Nanfa, or was that a different site where all of the locations of the fish were?
No, I think it is the one that you just said, and that was Mark that was talking about that.
Right.
And
Pile Aquatics, was it?
yeah, Pio Aquatics.
Okay.
And I know we're having him back on because there's still a lot of topics that were not talked about. It's just you could go.
He seems like he would just be a cool guy to have a fish conversation with, period.
Oh, he is, and that's what I
You
was telling
know,
you
like he
earlier.
seems to be like a wealth of information.
That's what I was telling you guys. What I was telling you earlier. The reason I'm kind of jealous of you guys because you guys are all out there in that triangle, between Dallas, where you're at in Austin, and Houston, and you
Yeah,
guys have a.
I've got in-laws I can stay with in Dallas, and I have my family in Houston. You know
Ah,
what I mean? So I have a place to stay. So you're right. Like being able to travel freely and meet with people in that Texas metroplex.
yep.
Metroplex.
But yeah, you guys are all relatively all close together, and there's just so many knowledgeable people out there that it's like I said, I get a little jealous with Steve because he's got access to all these people, all these great hobbyists that are out there, and
Right, but me and vibes, and like we like to get together and do things and stuff
yeah.
like that. So you know what I mean? Like you just tell me who you want to talk to and about what, and vibes and I'll set it up, and we'll just invite you on, and we'll like let it go. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, no, but what I'm
Or
envious.
we'll all come onto your channel. You know what I mean? But like
Yeah,
I can gather folks.
yeah, I know the part that I get a little envious is that you guys can actually do face-to-face meetings because you guys are relatively close to each other. Come on, Toby,
That is true.
and that's
But
always
I'm
cool.
working the night shift, man. So like honestly, like I'm closer to you and anybody that I can interact with through the internet. I
Well,
feel like I'm more closely tied in with you guys and people all over the world that are up the same time as me, more than I am those around me. There's a
yeah,
special sort of isolation with a night schedule.
yeah, and for me, it's more because I do the rotating schedules. Actually, tomorrow um, I get to go and be on morning shifts for the next 7 days, which is
Oh,
nice.
okay.
So I'm already back in here. You want to switch the cameras and
Yeah, man. Which one would you like? The one with the
the
fish
one,
tank behind you?
yes.
You got it, buddy. There you are. Hey, for some reason, I'm not getting any audio. So
That's because I
switch
was
from.
muted. Yeah,
Okay, cool.
I had muted it because I didn't want the endless feedback.
Right. Yeah. I was having that problem earlier. I can't take this camera in with me into the fish room. So is what it is.
Well, come up
Let's
here and join me because
do.
I feel kind of weird being the only one on
I
screen.
know. I know. I'm working on it. I'm working on it. Okay.
There we
How do
go.
I
That's a better
do?
view.
There we go.
There we go.
Oh, all right. And then I click on this.
There's the one icon where you can make that the main screen, and then we'll both be on the sides. Let's see who's here. Who's joining us tonight? We got Craig. Thanks for being here, Craig. Jeff, like always, supporting us. I appreciate that. So is Craig. Fish Fam Linky, thank you for being here with us. Nathan, thank you very much. Sam is always everywhere and doing a great job moderating. Eddie, what's cracking, Eddie? Let's see.
So Mexicalli, the way that Vibes has it set up, right,
Uh-huh.
is that when you turn your camera off, you disappear from the screen.
Yes.
And I know he's using the same program, but I don't know how
Oh,
to do
why are you
it.
trying to
So that will
disappear from the
be like a
screen?
future one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm trying to disappear from the screen and just leave my audio and put up the fish tank.
Oh, okay. I think that's
But
going to be in the
it's
settings.
yeah, but it's not working. It's kind of weird.
Well, I like talking to your avatar. There you go. That's the slide I was telling you.
Okay, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, that's the one
All
that
right,
we've been.
yeah, because I really wanted to show off these gambusia. Like I really was like passing on them as like being important to anyone. And when people are marking places where they're found and they're giving detailed pictures of them and like linking all that information together like on a site, like that's really cool. Like that conversation that you and Warrior Planet Tanks had, I think I said it in a comment. I was like, man, you made me interested in like going outside again. That's freaking cool,
And
you
that's
know?
that's been Steve a little project all along. He's always wanting people to go out and look in their own neck of the woods to see what's out there. I mean, you'll be amazed what you can find in your own waterways. And
I know.
I know he was pushing me for so long that I'm so happy that I finally started doing it. And and that's how I got my wild mollies and the gambusia because they all kind of came together when I was out there collecting. So it's just it's pretty neat. It's I also was able to get a crawfish out of it, and so that all from the same little trip that that I did out there. And for so long, I remember seeing all these places, but never really even contemplated the idea of trying to figure out what was in there. And we have. I think I even did a video where people were telling me that what I saw some fish that looked like cichlids, but wasn't sure what they were. I thought they for a second there they were might be some Africans cichlids, but Dr. Anthony looked at them and he said, "No, those are baby tilapia." So, which it's a form of a cichlid, but not any of the domestic stuff. Are you trying to get the Gambusia as the main screen?
Yeah, but
Hmm.
it's not working out.
All you need to do is go back to the format you had.
Uh-huh.
Okay, click on the one with the Gambusia and drag it over to where you're at. There you go.
What?
Yeah, I, this is the latest format that we've been playing with in Fish Plants y Mas because it allows to highlight whoever you want to highlight and you don't have
Yeah,
to
I love
disappear.
it.
Yeah.
No, and I mean like, and that's an intuitive mood. I was like, move. It's just like, just drag it over there. It's just like, wait a minute. No, no
Can't be that
way.
easy.
No way. So yeah, man, these guys are chewing on all that flake. I'm a huge overfeeder, but this is where my red snails go. So you know what I mean? Like everything's been working itself out pretty good in this thing.
Oh yeah.
It
And
turns green for a while, you know what I mean? And it'll be green for like a couple months, and then like it comes back to its own again, just depending on what I've got in there and what I pull out.
well, the green water is always good, especially if you got fry. Um, you don't really have to feed the tank when you have green water because there's so many microorganisms within that water column that, especially with fish this small, you don't even have to worry about feeding. I know I was talking with Drew this morning. I said I've been able to leave for 2 weeks without having to feed the fish and come back and everything's fine. Um, but that's because a lot of them will have a big clumps of that guppy grass in there, and I have other plants in other tanks, and it's just it provides the substance they need to be able to survive.
Yeah, guppy grass is amazing.
Hmm.
It has been a game changer for me. Like my tanks have never looked better, and like one of my main in all of the excess tanks that don't have a lot in it, like I've got a box of sticks for
Okay.
driftwood, and then guppy grass and hornwort. And the hornwort hangs on. It gets a little leggy. It starts looking a little weird, but it's doing its thing. You know what I mean? But the guppy grass always looks really happy and stuff like that. And eventually it gets enough stuff like on it, like mulm and stuff
Hmm.
like that, that it sinks down to the bottom of the tank and then like looks like some sort of like crazy bush.
Yeah, no, I've got it. I've got the guppy grass floating, but eventually it works its way into the substrate. I mean,
Right.
especially if you have that's if you have substrate, of course. But I guess that's why
Yeah,
people
I've
like
been
having
putting
them.
sand. I've still got a few without, but I
Hmm.
think I'm just going to put sand on the bottom of everything.
Yeah, one of the things that I kind of switched up here recently, instead of using straight sand,
Hmm.
and again, this is all coming from Steve. He goes, "Why don't you go buy the decomposed granite and use that instead?" And so far, I've loved it because it doesn't compact like sand will sometimes do. And
So it's more of a gravel situation.
well,
I
it's
know that you're going to have to clean.
you know what? Honestly, I don't clean them. I just put them in there, and if you leave it alone, it'll settle. And then, or you can just do a water change
Hmm.
and deal with it that way. But a lot of that's the fines that are floating in there will work themselves in between the gravel, and that's actually not a bad thing. It's no different than mold getting into your substrate, because
Okay.
eventually
So it's
it'll feed.
but it's like mineral rock type stuff.
Yeah, yeah. It was granite.
Okay.
I
Is
mean,
your water as hard as mine is?
yes,
Okay.
yes. We have liquid rock out here. That's why I don't keep any of the saltwater fish.
Yeah.
I
So I
love
mean,
the
it really doesn't
pistols.
matter if we add crushed coral to our tanks or not. Our water is already absorbed about as much as it's going to absorb
Yeah, yeah. That you don't have to worry about it messing with your parameters. If your water's
because the
hard, it's
water is
hard.
already so hard. Okay.
Yes,
Yeah,
and yes,
I've always kind of wondered about that. I haven't
yeah,
ever had any like problems, but I always wondered whether it was a potential problem or not.
yeah. But you tank like me. You keep plants in all your tanks, right?
Yeah, yeah, I definitely do. Well, except for the goldfish tank for obvious reasons, but I put plants in there to feed them, so they'll go after it and eat it. So duckweed is they get that at least once a week.
Mhm.
I try to make it twice. When it's three times a week, they start getting a little pissy because like all they want is that tetra color granules.
Oh, you got them
Yeah,
spoiled.
yeah. I'm a big LRP fan, you know what I mean? And the tetracolor granules, they're freaking cool, you know what I mean? Like,
Well,
but like, dude, it's like chips and kids, you know what I mean? It's just like, dude,
what I don't like is how expensive it recently got. It's just it used to be for the Tetra line. That was definitely the best food they had. I don't think there was a single fish in my fish room that didn't like it or that I've ever
yeah.
had trouble feeding it to.
What's the cost at now? I've been getting two of
They're-
those large things for on Amazon for like 10, $11 a piece.
Oh man, you're getting a hell of a deal here at the PetSmart. It costs
Oh
$22.
yeah, yeah. The markup in the pet store is large.
It's 22, so you're getting two for the price of what I pay for one.
Yeah,
And
both PetSmart and Petco down here don't carry the Fritz products, and I like the Fritz product. I started it because of Aquarium Co-op and
mhm.
their pump bottle. You know what I
Oh,
mean?
okay. Yeah.
And so I've just been refilling that pump bottle, and so I buy Fritz. So I can't even buy the dechlorinator that I want. You know what I mean? For like a for a higher price. So yeah, I typically just use those stores for the glass itself. I suppose that I would go there and buy a filter, but odds are I'm going to get it mailed to the house.
Yeah. Let me ask. I guess Eddie was asking a couple of things. He was saying that pull filter
What?
sand is a great budget substrate, and I agree, it is.
Yeah.
Um, but if you're going to use that, and I would recommend that you have something that'll move the substrate. It's great for like African cichlid tanks. It's great for the shellies that I have, the Neolampologus. Great for that because they're always sifting to the sand, or even goldfish. They do fine. I've never had a problem with my goldfish. But I have to admit, when you go too deep of a substrate with just straight uh, pull filter sand, I notice that some of the roots on the stem plants do tend to blacken, which means they're getting choked out. So
Mm,
lately, what I've been doing is I try to mix it with larger substrate than just fine sand, and
okay.
so far it's worked out for me. But like for guppy grass, and if that gets rooted in there, that stuff loves it because the roots are more on the surface. They're not really going that far deep,
Yeah.
and so they're just trying to anchor themselves to prevent the plant from moving around. But like
Right.
for
Yeah. Yeah.
your
That
Rotala
it's able to
Luigia,
anchor itself really well.
yeah,
That
for the
makes
Rotala
sense.
Luigia,
I
I've
think that I'll get some so is it crushed granite or decomposing granite?
decomposed, decomposed crushed granite.
Decomposed granite. I think I'll get a couple bags of that and I'll put that in there with the sand.
Yeah, and that should prevent some of that compacting that you're going to get. And Jude's right too. You can use play sand. A lot of this stuff, the
Yeah,
very
no, that's what I'm using. That's exactly what I'm
oh,
using.
that's different. Then the pull filter sand tends to be a little bit more of a finer grain.
I have
The plate,
had so much trouble finding pool filter sand, and if you go to a pool supply place,
oh
they
no,
won't sell it. They won't sell it to you
no,
because they're saving it. They're saving everything that they get in for the pools that they service.
yes.
So you know what I mean? So like here in the Central Texas region, I went to three different pool supply stores and then I gave up.
Mm. Well, I know the big box stores, the Home
Yeah,
Depot and the
I know that they sometimes have it.
well,
Um,
if you go look, you got to go look in where they have all the pool chemicals and all the pool equipment. They usually have a
right.
couple of pallets sitting in there. Well, but then again, I don't know. Texas could be different.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, but I mean, it was also a weird time, the
Oh,
time that I was trying to like we were just getting back online after uh pandemic,
Eddie says
issues
that
and whatnot. So like the supply chain was being all screwy anyway. So it might have just been that particular summer for all I know. But yeah, I got frustrated and gave up on it. And then
oh,
I
it's
was
the
really
tropical
liking the pool
place.
stand and uh uh Vibes came over and he was like, "Wait a minute, this is just a play stand?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he goes, "It's so much lighter than I thought it would be." And I was like, "Right, but all of my tanks have play sand in it. So
Mhm.
you'd have to have it next to your tank
Oh no, well you're
that
fine with
doesn't
play
have
sand.
play sand for you to actually see the difference."
Yeah, the play sand you're going to be fine. You don't even have to tinker with it if you don't want to, because it's a little bit more of a coarser, larger uh, grain of sand. But
Right.
Jeff is bragging. He's making us feel bad because he says he got a 4.5 pound container of tropical flakes for like $42. But the stuff
Nice.
that I'm talking about is the granules, the ones that LRB is
I'm
always
getting
talking
ready
about.
to I'm getting ready to order again from Ken's Fish, man. Like that dude has some flake and hey man, I don't know whether it's great for the longevity of my fish either, but I'm overfeeding them. So, you know what I mean? That's probably going to have more of an impact on their life than what I'm feeding them.
Yeah,
Um,
well,
and
that's
that Ken's flake is great, dude.
oh yeah,
And there's a
and
lot
that's
of different varieties and it's cheap.
oh yeah, it's if you're running a fish room, and you're not buying from Kent's Fish, I don't, you're crazy. You must have a lot of money.
Right,
It's
exactly.
great
I was
quality
like I was
food.
like you can move some of that money to Ken's Fish and be getting more for your dollar.
And if you
You know
look
what
at
I
the
mean?
if you look at the quality of the food, the protein content, the ash content, all these things that they're always talking about, they're right
Yeah.
up there with all the premium brands. That's now who I only buy food from is Ken's Fish, and I even did a video of an unboxing that I did from them from an order. Uh, those half
Hmm.
pound bags of flakes, you're paying $7, and
Okay.
it's
What's the most premium? What's the most premium price that you pay for a fish food? Like something that you feed on a special occasion, something that you like to have around. Do you have one?
maybe bloodworms, frozen bloodworms. That's about
Okay, so you go for the frozen food? Yeah,
yeah.
no, that's great, man. I've never fed bloodworms.
Yeah, no, it's just, and it's not always. I'll be honest. It's when I'm trying to get my Corys to breed, and I need to
Okay,
pack them up with protein. I'll feed
okay,
them. It's for me, and this is again for me. I found that feeding them the bloodworms really triggers them laying the eggs. That's how I can kind of
okay,
trigger them to get ready to do that. So that those are the ones that usually will get fed. Some of the bloodworms, but everything else, what I do, I mix it up. Can's got some great pellet food, so
okay,
I'll switch it up between the pellet food and the flakes, and my fish they love it, and I like it because he carries the ones that I buy are the 0.05 milliliters, so the real small ones, millimeters, not milliliters because that's liquid, but millimeters.
okay,
I
yeah.
think it's the 0.5s, not the 0.05s, the 0.5s. And I
I
feed
got a
all,
North Fin. I got a North Fin sample that's that size.
and for guppies, all the live bears, that's all they eat. And then they have another one that's a 1.5, which is a little bit bigger. And I feed that to it's big enough where the angelfish, the rainbow fish, and even the akara will eat that. And the akara is pretty big.
Okay,
And then I have
yeah.
a
That
2.5.
1 millimeter, I fed it to my angels, and like they're just so finicky. If I give them any sort of new situation, they just shit. They just like they they freak out. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Like the first thing they do is like, I'm not eating that. And you're like, come on, guys.
Yeah, I think even Craig out there in Australia is because they are in Massachusetts. He calls it Beantown. That's where Kent's Fish is at, and so I didn't realize he was shipping internationally. But yeah, if you have a fish room, you should definitely check out Kent's Fish. You will not regret it. The quality of the food is great. It's
Yeah.
up there with your extreme flakes and all these other
Yeah.
high end
There's no
foods.
sponsorship over here, but like, hey man,
No,
like,
it's just
like other
it's
people in the
speaking.
community turned me on to it and I'm happy. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like this is something I support, and it's not a paid endorsement. It's an endorsement of, like price and quality. You know what I mean? Thank you.
yeah. Yeah, and like I said, I forget um whose video it was that I watched on that. And I think it was what's his name?
Yeah, Skull Aquatics told me about it, and like Skull Aquatics can't like say Ken's Fish's name without saying something nice
Oh yeah.
about it. You know what I mean? Like he's like, you know what I mean? So like I was like,
Well,
I mean, like I was like, this is like the ninth time he's like mentioned that. And
and don't
then
get me
Vibes got
don't,
some.
yeah, don't get me wrong. I mean, like extreme foods, excellent food. But if you're trying to feed a fish room, you better have a good budget for that because
Right, yeah,
it's
that's
gonna
gonna eat up
cost you.
budget.
Yeah,
Yeah.
with two big cans of extreme food, with the price that I would pay for that, I could buy almost a 4 month supply of food from Kent's Fish to be able to feed my entire fish. It's just that big of a
Later
difference.
Vibes.
Oh, he's
He's
out of here.
dude, he's got to get up early. You know what I mean? Like
So do
he's
I,
like
but I'm
pushing it
here.
right now. He's probably still listening. You know what I mean? It's just like,
Man
hey,
up,
hey, hey, would you turn this off? I know I wouldn't. You know what I
hey,
mean? It's like this is
Eddie.
ripping.
Man up.
This
All
is
you got to do is drink 3 more cups of extra coffee tomorrow. That's all.
no man. Vibes like put stuff together and like uses saws and stuff. You know what I mean? It's just like
Oh, okay.
I'm sure he's already pushing it. You know what I mean?
Uh,
Safety first, bro.
It's okay. You can still function perfectly well with 4 working fingers. I know it's true because ask Tommy.
That's right, man. Yeah, Tommy, living proof, man.
You don't need all your fingers.
You know, he has been super complimentary towards me, and I'm super complimentary towards him. Like,
He's a great
he and I
guy.
need to get together. And like you said, it is not out of the
Well,
possibility
all of
to
you
actually
guys,
meet face to face.
like I said, I'm so jealous because all of you guys are. There's a you have uh there's well Tommy, Eddie, you, Thunder Aquatics, who I haven't seen in a while, which is Daniel, who's out there in
Hmm.
Austin also. Uh, and then you come down to Houston. Well, yeah, down here in Houston, well, you got Steve, you got Jeffrey Watts, you got Big Tank Hank.
Yeah,
Um,
I met Jeffrey Watts at a Aquashella, and like he is a gentleman. You know what I mean? Like I like that guy. He
yeah.
is cool, man.
Well, and we're trying to get him to post videos on his fish tanks because he has some amazing. Yeah, Pile Aquatics up in Dallas. We have Devin from the Fish Killy Fish Shack that's down there
Hmm.
in Houston. Also, I mean, there's just so many of you guys
I've
that
never
are out
been to
there
the
in that area.
Killifish Shack. That sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, it's and it's just there's every time that I find out that it's somebody from Texas, like damn, how many of you guys are there? But it's a big
There
state.
is there is a lot of Texas,
Oh yeah,
for sure. You know what I mean? Like getting out of state to visit anybody, dude. It's an 8 hour drive any direction I go.
yeah.
But one of those is Mexico, so I got that going for me. You know what I mean? Like
Well, and then you got Goliath Farms, Charles out there and close
that's
to
right, man. Like that is such a cool spot, man. And like he's been putting out like a little bit of content here and there, and
well,
he
I know he.
actually like took some suggestions from some of the people in the chat. Like now when he's like showing a fish and stuff like that, he's actually like putting them in a tank. You know what I
Okay,
mean? And like it
yeah.
really gives people like a good view of the fish and
Oh,
stuff like that.
I
And
love the
I just think
mollies
that's
that he
so
has.
cool.
The mollies that he has are big suckers too, big body fish, and they're awesome. But he took a big hit to where even he says that he didn't think he was going to be able to come back from that
Yeah,
hurricane that wiped them out. No, it was the freeze, not the hurricane. It was that big freeze you guys had a couple of
yeah,
years ago.
yeah. No, that got yeah, that got everybody, dude. Like we're still talking about it, and we refer to it as snowpocalypse.
Thank you, Matt. Matt's saying that he liked the last night's Spanish stream, even though he only didn't understand 99% of it. You probably got
Right,
hola.
exactly. I think that that's so cool what you're doing. Like I mentioned it to my wife, um, that you had done a stream in Spanish. She was like, "Oh, awesome! So he's bilingual," and I was like, "Yeah." And I was like, "There's a lot of Spanish speakers, you know, like in the fish fam. He's finding out as well." And
Yeah.
I
Well,
was like, that's so needed.
you
You
know
know
who
what
you
I
need to
mean?
check out, Mike? And
Who?
he's right there in Austin with you, Lobster Lab.
Yeah, man. I met Lobster Lab and his
Lock-
son.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. They're
And
cool, man. Like I
he's
saw
another
them
one
at
that's
that event.
yeah, he's another one that's bilingual and he's doing streams in Spanish. That's what kind of started me thinking on this is like, well, wait a minute, I can't be it's
Right, but
it's
I mean like
impossible.
you just have more options. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like that is the benefit of knowing another language, right?
Oh yeah.
Like I think it's really cool. I can do some rudimentary things like in a commercial kitchen with my Spanish. I can get through most of a general assessment in Spanish
Hmm.
for nursing. Um
But that's much more than most people can. So that's good.
Yeah, I really wish I had paid more attention. I took 3 years of Spanish in a Catholic freaking high school, you know what I mean? Like, and I got very little out of it, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, but you know what? It's one of those things where you have to immerse yourself in the language
mhm,
because it's like anything, any language you want to learn. I know my wife. I'm so proud of her because when we first moved, um, she was born and raised in Mexico. So when we got
Okay.
married, she understood some English and she spoke very little. But because of my work, I got transferred once up to northern Nevada to a little town called Winnemucca, which is off of Interstate 80, I think. And it's just
Yeah.
basically a in between point between Salt Lake City and
What does
Reno.
Guanamucca mean?
It means moccasin, I think, in Native American.
Okay.
At least that's what I kind of remember reading up on it. It was like
Hmm.
something about a moccasin or one moccasin or something like that. But that's kind of what it means. And I know when she went up there, she had to speak it. She didn't have a choice because the entire community, almost 90% of it, spoke English. So she had to go full immersion. And within a year, she became very fluent. And that's because she was in that situation. And I know the opposite case of friends that I've had that had to
Hmm.
go to Mexico because of their work, not speaking, understanding some Spanish, but not really speaking it, and they become fluent because you don't have a choice. I mean, if you're going to communicate, you're gonna learn the
Yeah.
language,
My
and then
my aunt and uncle are fluent in Spanish. They moved to it's in the city state of Guanajuato. It was San Miguel de Allende. There's a
yes,
lot of American expats up
oh
there. A
yes,
lot of
that's where I
art,
was.
a lot of nice houses. Like it's like cocktail parties in the evening and like shopping during the day. And there's
It's
like
a
300-year-old cobblestone streets and
Yep.
like a big cathedral and the market square and like it's just amazing.
Well, if you go back and look at my shorts, right around May,
Yeah,
and I was down there, and I was uploading, the Airbnb we were staying at. It had a beautiful garden, and a lot of the
yeah.
structures and the pictures that you see on Instagram and on the shorts that I was doing was from San Miguel de Allende. If
Yeah,
anybody,
there's a big
if
monarch butterfly gathering at a certain time of year near there,
Yeah,
and there's
Morelia.
like a hot springs or something near there. Like those are two
Oh
things
yeah,
that I wanted to see that didn't work out.
yeah. But if anybody, if you're thinking about going to Mexico, the first things that come to mind is kind of like going to Cancun and all that. If you get an opportunity to go visit San Miguel de Allende, you will not be disappointed.
Yeah,
For one thing,
there's a big university there.
hmm
Uh and like a lot of the student artists and stuff like that are like
well, it's
selling
like
their
Austin.
paintings and stuff. It's freaking fun, man.
Well, it's like Austin. Austin is known for their food and their art, whether it's music or whether it's actual paintings and stuff like that, or
Yeah.
it's just an art city. It's an art cultured city,
Yeah.
and San Miguel de Allende is very similar in that aspect. The other thing that Austin is coming up very quickly is in the food industry. It's becoming a culinary place, and you find the same thing down there in San Miguel. There's a
Yeah.
bunch of chefs that are coming from different parts of the world and opening up the restaurants down there because there's a lot of really nice hotels, a lot of boutique
Yeah, the food scene
hotels.
in Houston is crazy, and I assume that the same thing is going on in the Dallas area.
Mm. Yeah, I know Steve is always bragging about the food scene down there, but
The
um,
food scene in Houston is like crazy. Like in 1995 when I was graduating high school, like Houston is such a melting pot and stuff like that. There's all these different communities and stuff like that that like you'll just go and get like some different cultures food like in a strip mall somewhere and you'll just be like, what is this? What is this? Oh my gosh, this is awesome. Like just great stuff.
yeah, and Matt's making a good point there, where he's saying that sign language should be another requirement. I totally agree, um,
I do as well.
because I think if you can just learn any other language besides the one you speak, it just opens up a lot more of this world. I mean, because it allows you to communicate in different ways. So I'm always encouraged when people say that they want to learn a new language. It's like, well, hell yeah. What I find fascinating is the people that can speak 5, 6 languages. It's like, whoa. where do you have the hard drive to be able to keep all that information? But one thing that I do notice is if they're Latin-based languages, you start hearing a lot of similarities in words, and it makes it a little bit easier to learn those languages.
Yes.
For example, Italian is one of those languages that I don't speak, but if I pay attention, I can understand maybe about 50 or 40% of what they're speaking, because a lot of those same words we use in Spanish. So I know if
I
I
can
really,
understand what people are saying maybe 40 to 50% of the time. Now they have to be trying to speak slowly for me.
yeah, well, that's one of the things that somebody left me a comment on yesterday's stream. You know, I really enjoyed it, but I was having a hard time understanding. I do understand Spanish, but you guys were talking fast.
Right. I wonder if there is already, or how long we are away from like good uh a good like uh text
Translator.
simulator,
Yeah.
like yeah, translator, that's the word I was trying to get. I'm wondering how long before like AI can freaking, take conversations and like transpose them into another language.
Well, it's funny because a couple of weeks ago we went up to Big Bear, and
Uh-huh.
at the Airbnb that we stayed in, there the hostess that was there taking, or the property care person, she was Chinese, and uh, and
Hmm.
and and it said when we were checking in on the instructions, how you get all this. They told us that she does not speak English, but that's not a problem. And I was thinking to myself, how can that not be a problem? How is she gonna write? She can write English or something. And when she came in, she was a lovely older lady, comes in, and she, says hi, and had this what looked like a little recorder. And she all of a sudden she
Okay.
starts speaking into it, and then points it at me, and it's translating what she's saying. And that's how we communicated. So that is one of the wonderful things with technology. I know a lot of people
Wow,
shit on
so
it.
awesome.
They shit on technology because there's some downsides, but I always like focusing on the
Right. We
positives.
can always use this technology to blow up people or to harm others. You know what I mean? But like there's a lot of helpful things as well. Like the prosthetics nowadays are as far as like the people without limbs and stuff like that is getting super crazy, man.
Yes. Well, especially if Elon gets his Neuralink, that's supposed to solve a lot of those spinal injuries and stuff like that, and be able to give people back
Right.
mobility. Which, it's one of those where you start thinking, okay, are we a few steps away from being cyborgs now?
Hmm. I mean, like, yeah, I mean, like, possibly. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like, I don't know.
yeah. I know
It's like, you know
Andrew.
what I mean? Like, some of those thoughts get a little scary, and then I just look deeper into my fish tank. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Adam was mentioning that he got to travel down to Peru, and he went by himself, but he doesn't speak a lick of Spanish, but he still managed to get by because a lot of people were able to speak English. What's interesting is in I know in Mexico and maybe in Central America and South America, but I know for sure in Mexico, any student that is going to be graduating from the university, it's a
hmm,
must that they have conversational English. Um, and that's mandatory for graduation because it's become such a tourist destination
right.
that you can't be an employee at some of these places and not be able to conduct business in English. So it's not surprising when people travel to Mexico that they're still managed to get by even without speaking Spanish, because there's so many people. Perfect case example is San Miguel de Allende. You can go to any restaurant, and guaranteed that at least half of the staff will be able to speak to you in English, and
Yeah.
fluent English too. It's not broken English. I mean, they're you know, so and that's just any anybody, like I said, that is going to graduate from a university. That has to be the case. Now, what ends up happening to a lot of these students is like anything else. If you don't practice it, you lose it.
Yeah.
But but the ability to understand is still there. It's just a conversational side that sometimes drops off because they're living in a country where it's predominantly Spanish. So unless you're doing business transactions or you're dealing with tourism, and you're not practicing on a day-to-day basis, your ability to speak it is going to drop off. But they'll still understand, you know, everything you're saying because they have to know the language. And also, again, going back to this whole technology, if you really want to keep up on it, there's so much access. You're not only relying on movies and TVs anymore. Yeah, you know, we have this wonderful tool that is YouTube that you can access at any time, um, and and hear whatever it is you want to hear. I find it the one that I like listening to because it's a foreign language, um, but and based on how they're speaking, I can pick up some stuff as the Brazilians because they speak Portuguese, and
Right.
there's a lot of hobbyists down there that are keeping fish and Brazil, and I'll sit there and listen on a live stream, and I know what some of you guys feel when you guys listen to my stream because you
Right.
recognize a
Yeah.
couple of the words, but
Hmm.
it's interesting how after listening it repeatedly, you kind of start getting a rhythm, one for the language, and the other one to kind of thread together a few words and go, "Oh, I know what he was talking about." But but that's just that I'm kind of weird that way. You know, I like challenging myself all the time and trying to see if I can figure stuff out.
Yeah. So that is another thing that I wanted to talk to you about, and also people in chat. I have been really lazy this summer.
Hmm.
I have not been motivated to spend time in my fish room. I have not been motivated to like keep up with the maintenance and things like that. And yeah, some of the tanks get some uh, algae in them. You know, some of the plants end up coming loose and floating at the top. But
You mean I'm not the only one
the
that does
less that
that?
I do to them, the more these tanks are thriving. You know what I mean? So I'm almost
Yeah,
being rewarded for my laziness and like motivation and setting goals and completing goals.
yeah.
Like, how do you do that personally
Okay.
so that
All
I
right.
may glean some sort of like inspiration or something to try?
This is where I'm gonna say, do as I say, not as I do.
Okay. So
And
what do you so what do you say?
the only reason is because I know as of late I haven't really done much as far as creating videos. It's
Same.
stupid. It's stupid because I was willing to do the work and push up until I reached that milestone. And then once I got to 1,000, I kind of let off the throttle a little bit. And as far as creating content, but
Okay.
now what I'm doing is I'm really trying to use the small audience that I have to try to bring in new um, people of the community that I find interesting. That I kind of go out there because working shift work allows me to spend a lot of time on the computer late at night, late in the evenings, late at night when nobody's in the office but myself. And the advantage of that too is it connects you with different time zones where normally
Right.
if you were working a 9 to 5, you would never come across those people that are surfing the internet or YouTube or whatever. So I get exposed to a lot of what we would consider really late night streams, but in reality, it's like early morning wherever they're at. And
Right.
so you get to interact with a whole different community of fish keepers. You get to uh, learn from a whole bunch of different other people. I mean, that's what's so fascinating is um, we think of the community as just here in the United States, but this community is global. Perfect example is that we have Debs here, we have Mark here. Um, they're Mark, if I'm not mistaken, is out in Australia. Debs is in England.
Hmm.
So we have all these regions of of the world that we all kind of, end up landing here.
Yeah,
And
and it's really special.
yeah. So, it's and that's what's kind of cool about working these crazy hours is that you get exposed. And then we have June, which June, I don't know, she must be a cyborg because I don't think she
I
sleeps.
mean, she's a special type of flower for sure. You know what
I
I
don't know
mean?
how I don't know how June does it, but I'm working mornings, swings, and graveyards, and I'm on YouTube, and there's June. That's the one person that I can almost guarantee is going to be on one of the streams. The other nut
Yeah,
joke said that,
I feel like if I don't see her, she's napping.
yeah. Well, no, she's doing something
I
else.
mean,
But
that has to be what's going on.
June does not sleep. June is the machine.
The machine.
And
I
Sam
love it. June, make your next stream the machine.
and Sam is another one too. I always see Sam. I mean, in the mornings, at night. You guys are crazy. Uh, how you guys can be up all the time. And well, Craig is another one, and he's out in Australia. I don't I don't think there's a single stream that I
So
can
where
click
is
on, and
Craig?
he's in Australia. I don't know what part of
Okay, yeah.
Australia, but he's out there. And it's that continent. It's so big that they all have their
Right,
different.
exactly.
It could be morning in one part of the continent and night at the other one. But yeah, no, it's just there's that's what I've really enjoyed. So you get to meet all these people, you get to interact. One of the newest person that I've seen getting involved with all of this, it's Ian, Magic Aquariums, and I
Oh, I don't
don't.
know that one.
Yeah, they've been. I know they've been coming to my stream um, now a little bit more consistent. But I think I might have seen them in Andrew's stream, Aquarium Daily, because I think
Okay.
they're out there in Europe somewhere.
Okay,
And
cool.
that's what's kind of cool about that's what I love about this because you get to meet people from. I mean, it's great enough that I get to meet people within my own country, but when you get to meet people from other countries, that there is no way in hell that you would have ever crossed paths if it wasn't for this media. That's the stuff that I really enjoy interacting,
Yeah.
talking with these people, just watching what they're doing, how they tank. It's just so cool.
Yeah, man.
But as far as motivating, here's when I was having trouble trying to figure out what I was going to do, I tried everything. I went from doing what you're doing now with that um, gambusia tank, where you
Yeah.
just put the camera on there, record, you know, 1, 2, 3 minutes, and then posting it as a video with music. That copyrighted music that YouTube allows you to have.
Yeah.
And I have a few videos of those. It's
Me too.
crazy. Here's what I was telling this young lady that I know that runs a cigar lounge, and I was telling her because she has a presence. She started promoting the business on Instagram, and she's got
Okay.
her own little channel on Instagram too that she was doing some other stuff. And I said, Catherine, if you were to just do like these 30-second reels of your cigar shop, whether it's demonstrating a product or talking real quick about some of the profiles about that cigar, I go, it
Hmm.
would go a long ways. It's going to draw attention because what I find interesting, and I used our community because she was unboxing some merchandise. I said, you know what? If you were to put a camera in front of you while you're doing that, you would get people to watch. And the reason I know that is because I know in our community, in the fish keeping community, unboxings are a big
What's in the
thing.
box is like a huge draw. Like we've been trained on that since like birthdays. You know what
Well,
I mean? Like
and even if it's always I don't know what it is about it. It's like opening up a present, you know. It's like, oh, you know, it's not yours, but you're kind of living vicariously to what they're doing. That's, I mean, I do a lot of that,
Yeah, I
especially
was
when it
watching
comes to
that
the.
Pokemon stream earlier with Gina.
Oh
I don't
yeah,
know. I don't know anything about it, but her excitement about it is contagious. And when something interesting or rare pops up, she's very excited, and she
oh yeah,
tells you why it's cool. I
yeah.
don't have to worry about that. She takes care of that for me.
Yeah, so and that's what I was trying to convey to this young
Oh,
lady.
there's
I said,
Gina.
"Look, you'll be surprised, especially because I know a lot of women get into that trap where they think they have to be seductive in front of the camera to be able to get views. And you know,
Yeah,
okay,
that is true. And
and you know that
I'm glad that I don't have to deal with that. Although I did bathe before I came on stream.
so and I was telling her that you don't have to fall into that trap. I know plenty of ladies that are doing content on on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, and they're just telling you what it is, and they're being them. They don't have to push that
Right, yeah.
envelope to be able to get people to come and watch. Granted, those channels that do that do blow up, but they're there for
Yeah,
other
no,
reasons. They're
like
not
I
there
mean like
for.
it's a successful strategy.
Yeah, but what happens is you start drawing in the wrong crowd too, because then you start looking at the streams
It's
and you
true.
see the rude comments and all this other stuff because of what you're attracting by what you're doing. Um,
That's true.
and that's why I was telling you, don't fall into that trap because she's a very lovely young lady, and I told her don't fall into that trap. Look, I would even would make it more interesting is because in when it comes to cigars in that industry, it's a very male
Hmm.
dominated industry. Very few women are
Right.
involved in that industry. It's considered a manly thing to do or a hobby. No different than
Right.
aquarium, but aquariums we're starting to see that nice shift where it's starting to become. It's still not there or even close to being balanced out, male to female ratio. But I think
Yeah,
with the ladies,
probably not, but
but with the
there's so many females involved and I love the fact that YouTube is heavily moderated and we just keep all of that distracting like negative stuff
yeah,
out. You know what I mean? And like I'm sure that influences like gender balance and participation.
yeah. Well, and what's really nice and what I've seen is that we've tried to create an environment that is welcoming and respectful, that a lot of these ladies are starting to get the courage to say, okay, well, this is not bad. They don't feel that the well, and I'm probably
Right, and
speaking out of pocket because I'm not a woman.
they're being treated properly, you know what I
Yes,
mean? And
they're
like
not being
that's what's so great
disrespected,
about it.
and they're being appreciated for what they know and not what they look like. Because a lot of these and I don't know. It's just it's I just like what I'm seeing. The fact that it's not, and it goes back to I see that more like on Instagram and TikTok, where these girls are doing stuff that I don't understand why they have to do that to be able to talk about a fish and it's like really, I mean, if you try to expose yourself that way, you're gonna generate the all that negative attention that comes with doing that. And so, but that's what I. It's a Mexicalli. You could always go the path of the old Tony show and show her hands. It's so funny that you say that, Ken, because that was exactly what I was talking. I said, look, if you want, you don't even have to be in front of the camera. And all this is from what I see from our own community. And
Right.
usually a lot of the times is the very first videos. Even I'm guilty of that. My first videos, like I said, was just a tank and some music, and then eventually you kind of build up the courage and you're speaking, but you're never really in front of the camera until you build that courage to turn it around. But uh, yeah, there's so much that can be done. Uh, where if you want to be private and remain private, you can still continue to do content. Well, look, the biggest channel of this, and it creates this this mystery to trying to find out is Flo the Flower. What is it? Flo the Flower Horn. That channel
Oh
blew
yeah,
up, and it kept getting bigger and bigger because then you start wondering who's the person behind the
right.
videos, and it just I know that was part of the appeal of me watching those videos. Sometimes it's more the mystery is what becomes more appealing. Who hasn't Jeff? Who hasn't done? Oh, Old Tony. Old Tony is the only show
Yeah,
hasn't done extremely well for himself on YouTube. Yeah, I don't know who. I don't think I know who that is. I'll have to look him up. But so,
I don't know whether it's still there
uh,
because I don't go downtown often enough. But there was a place on Sixth Street, and there was a desk, and somebody was hand rolling cigars
oh, okay.
at this cigar shop, and they had a camera on the like overhead view of the
Oh,
person rolling. So when somebody was rolling on a monitor in the window of the place as you walk by, you see somebody rolling cigars. And that
oh,
got
cool.
people to go into the store.
Yes. Yeah. And yeah, and I know Flo the Flower Horn doesn't stream anymore, but I think because they finally the content creator kind of revealed who it was. And it was one of those things, I guess, where it lost its mystique. And plus, I guess they had so much success. They blew up so quick.
Right.
And they had millions of followers. I was one of them. I got suckered into it every single
It's so
time.
good though. It sounds so good. It sounds like a worthwhile leisure activity.
Yeah, this old Tony Jeff says that it's a machinist welder that fabricates. Yeah,
Oh,
it's
that's
just
awesome.
I think there's a lot to be said when there's a little bit of mystery uh,
Yeah.
and what you're doing. I think that's always
Yeah, my
well.
next door neighbor puts up a bunch of stuff on Facebook, and he works with metal, and he does a bunch of bead rolling, and like has done like some like awesome stuff, like Halloween decorations and stuff like that, like beading on tin, and
Oh, okay.
like different like cool stuff.
Yeah, and like I said, it's just there's so much out there. It's stuff that you would think people don't have an interest in because just simply because you don't find it interesting. The stuff that people watch some of the craziest things. One of the things that, like I said, that I enjoy watching on because I don't as much you know fish content that I watch. I do watch some other stuff, and I find myself really fascinated by the fabrication of whatever. It doesn't. It could be cars. It could be motorcycles. It could be woodwork. It could be metalwork. I just the ability that people have to work with their hands fascinates me. And if they're really good at what they're doing, and it's an artesian kind of product, it's even more. Uh, one of the things that my grandkids get a kick out of because when they come and visit, we'll sit down and watch the toy restorations where they'll take
Oh
these
wow, that sounds really cool.
old beat up toys and they'll break them down, clean all the stuff, and bring it back to its full glory. And at first, my grandkids didn't understand. They were like, "What are you watching?" They call me Tata, Grandpa. Tata, what are you watching, Tata? And it's like, I said, "Watch, you watch." And they sit there, and they'll sit with me for a couple of those videos where we'll sit together and watch them, and then they'll be like, "Wow, that looks brand new." But it's cool because it gives them another view of things that are possible. You know, it
Yeah,
allows them to understand that if something's broken, you can fix it. It's not the end of that product, whatever it is. Not that they're going to become restorators or anything like that, but knowing that there's a possibility that you can fix something. I think that's what uh, I think is important. And not, I've learned a lot of stuff just by watching. I've even in this hobby, uh, doing. deep substrates, doing different DIY filtration. That's all been by watching. Because I watch a video, I'll watch it over and over again. The way that I learned how to reseal an aquarium was from watching tutorials on YouTube.
Right.
That's stuff that I never thought that I would be able to do, but because I watched a few videos, and I'll watch several of them, and it won't be the same person, because I want to see if there's a commonality or there's other tips and tricks that are out there
Right.
and that I can
Exactly.
learn from. And so once I get a feel for the basics of what you're doing, then I'll tackle a project like that. My wife laughs because I've been able to fix a washer just by watching videos, a refrigerator. Obviously, it's just minor stuff. But for example, on one of the refrigerators, I had no idea where the bolts were for the handles to unscrew them, because most refrigerators you can change what side you put
Right.
your handle. And I knew where the hinges were, but I couldn't find where the screws were. So I popped on a video, put in the model description of what I had, and sure enough, there was a video on there, and it turned out that you had to slide a cap that would reveal it. Just by looking at it, I never thought that it was a moving part, but because I watched the video, I was able to learn that you had to push it, and it would reveal the screw. And I was like, oh man, there's no way in hell I would have probably broken that handle if it wasn't for YouTube.
Yeah. You're like, wow, man, I almost broke this handle trying to figure this out.
Because I would have been yanking and jerking on it until it came loose, and yeah, it would have come loose, but it would have been functional. So there's a
Right.
lot of things like that that I've.
And then your wife is just like, no, this is unacceptable. And you've got like a piece of rope with a knot on the end of it, like hanging out of a
Sounds
hole
like
on the
you've been
door.
down that
And you're
road.
like, dude, it still works. It's fine. And it's just like, no, dude, this is unacceptable.
Well, for us men, it works and it's fine, it's functional. But I know for the ladies of the house, they're like, no way in hell this is gonna fly. But yeah, so that's one of the upsides of having this technology, is that if you use it as a tool, it's a very valuable tool. Um, I've learned
Yeah.
so much
What do you
just from
know
watching
about
this.
Gothic Aquatics on
Oh yeah, he's going live right now, I guess, with Corey Dorable. And
yeah, I just saw that going live with Corey Dorables. I just subscribed on Instagram to
yeah,
Gothic Aquatics. I was like, that's probably content I'm into.
he's a rainbow fish breeder. He's a young kid. He's still in the Navy. I think he's like a reservist,
Okay,
or I don't know if he's still active duty, but I know he's still an active member of the Navy. And him and his wife have this little home business where they're breeding rainbow fish. He's really into
nice.
rainbow fish, and he's putting the work in, and he's starting to get a little bit of success, and which is always great. I mean, it's just he's a good kid. I'm trying to remember his name. I don't know if it's Ethan. I,
So
I
if they're going live with Corey Dorables, how do I?
they're on Instagram though.
Yeah, so I go to Instagram and I go to Corey Dorables' channel, and then I'd be able to see like her live somewhere on
Well,
there.
if you have the app on your computer, you can open up that tab, and then it'll have displayed on the top of the application if anybody you're subscribed to is going live, and then you just click on
Okay.
it and you'll see them. And usually the people you're subscribed to, you'll get notifications that they're going live. That's the one thing that I think is very well done that Instagram does when they do it live. Like for example, you and I are on this
Like
stream,
the
but the only
notification system
yeah,
seems to be working well.
yeah, because you and I are on this stream, but only people that follow you know that I'm here.
Right.
Anybody that follows me, and that's because you publicized that that was going to be on your channel. But if we were on Instagram, everybody that was following me would have gotten a notification the minute we went live. And but again, that's because Instagram is using their own platform to live stream, so they can do that. Whereas we're using a second party uh, platform to stream onto YouTube. but I'm sure either one of these could figure something out like that where, and I think on the paid service, if you're using StreamYard, there's a there's a way where you'll allow your guests to also stream simultaneously on their channel. But then it becomes a little bit more confusing because you start
Because then
seeing
there's two different
comments.
chats going on.
Yeah, there's two different chats that are going on, and I like it where it's all in one place. It's just
Hey,
let's see. Did you do dual
looks
streams?
like Nano says just click on her logo and it'll show the live instead of
Mhm.
their profile. Okay, good
Yeah,
to know.
yep. And you'll see a little circle that's kind of highlighted on their logo, and that's how you know that they're going live. And if she has multiple guests, they'll be stacked on top of each other. The host will be on top, and then whoever you're following will be below them. Okay, yeah. Gina was saying that I guess that's what Danny and I do. They do simultaneously live stream from StreamYard. Yeah,
Oh,
so
okay.
I had not, and that's a relatively new feature. I think it came out sometime mid-year where they were allowing you to do that, and I think it was to compete with YouTube because YouTube all of a sudden started allowing you to do live streams with guests, and they did a
Right.
big old release thing on at the beginning of the year where that was kind of like the new thing to do. And I think on YouTube it automatically like for right now that you and I are on here, I think it automatically notifies whoever subscribed to my channel that I'm going live.
Oh,
But
okay,
I
that's great.
but I don't stream on YouTube. I haven't really used that. I know Aquafunk uses YouTube to stream,
Yeah, I've
but
only used StreamYard.
yeah, and that's what I've used, and it's gotten now to the point where I feel comfortable enough with it that um, I just don't mess with it. It's
Yeah.
why mess with success?
Jeff Kane agrees. He says he doesn't like the dual stream because it splits the chat.
Yeah,
I agree.
and the only way you find out what their other chat's saying is if you pin it up in the comments. Like when you drag it up and pin it, yeah, like that. And that's when you go, wait a minute, who's here? And I know the one that does that on a regular basis is Mike Loves Aquariums, and oh no, Mike Loves Life, and Tori and Corey, and it's always confusing because you see people you recognize and you're like, they're not in my chat, so you're trying to figure out on whose stream whose live stream they're on. But and I guess this one, if you because I know StreamYard, if you're paying for the service, allows you to go like live stream simultaneously to Facebook or Twitch or something like that. That also gets confusing because you'll have people from that side that'll be commenting, and a lot of times you can't see what's going on unless they do what you've done. Yeah, June watches them. I know June watches everybody, almost everybody. The machine, June, the
The
machine.
machine.
Yeah, but
Welcome
and
to the
it's cool
machine.
because a lot of people like Mark, like June, Gina. For a while there, I used to joke around and used to call us the Insomniac crew because Bunny Viper was another one, Hippie John, B Wizzle, where I knew if I was working graveyards, I was going to have fun
Hmm.
because they were going to be on somebody's stream. And and it's funny how you start finding communities within the community, little
Right,
cliques of people that watch the same stuff you do, and that's always fun. Like
right.
Devs and Craig and all of them, they start becoming even without realizing they start becoming familiar names that they become friends. Much
Only
beneficial.
Oscars is a vampire. There you go.
She must be. I wouldn't put it past her. Just because her and
I
Craig,
mean, like
Craig,
I
and
don't think I'm a vampire. Like I can be in sunlight. I mean, like, but like I don't like it. I'd
well, I
rather
don't like it
not.
out here because it's so hot. If it was like 20 degrees cooler, I might enjoy being out in the sun.
Yeah, same here, man. It's
But
freaking rough, but it gets nice out around midnight.
see, that's That's what I remember when I used to live in northern Nevada, up in Winnemucca. People used to complain because they would get up to 106, 110, and people were scorching. But the beauty of that temperature out there was that it was
What?
only going to be that hot for a few hours during the day. And as the day progressed, it kept getting cooler and cooler. And then in the evenings, you can sit out on your porch and enjoy the beautiful breeze in the afternoon and be
Mm-mm.
in the high 70s, So
Not
we're,
here, man. Like the peak heat of the day is like 5:30. You know what I mean? And then
yeah,
at 9, it's still above 90 degrees. It's
yeah,
like
I can relate.
rough.
I can relate because out here, it's not uncommon to be out at midnight and still be 101, 105 at midnight. It's just especially when we get up into the 114s. We had one day out here that it hit 120, and those nights there's no letting up. It's gonna be hot. It's there's just hot and hotter. That's all.
Yeah.
Jeff is leaving.
Night,
Good night, Jeff.
Jeff.
Oh, he's on the.
Sweet dreams.
Is he Central or is he Eastern? Because it's pretty late if he's Eastern. It's already
35 at the
1 o'clock.
moment.
Yeah. You see, and I know that's really hot. What sucks is if you live in a region where those temperatures are not normal or they weren't normal, and all of a
Right.
sudden you start getting to that point, you're not prepared for that. Your house is not set up with air conditioning. See, that's the benefit to it always being hot down here. You're not going to find a property that doesn't have AC. It's not going to happen. Even if you're
Yeah,
buying
same
a
here.
even if you're buying a trailer down here, it's gonna have AC. And it's just if you buy a car, that's not a like an option, an add-on option to your cars. If you're treating that as an add-on option, you're not ever going to sell cars. It's included in the base model that you're buying because it's just the region that we live in. You have to have AC is not a luxury; it's a necessity for us. Oh, okay. Well, see, that's nice. If you're running well, you know what? That's not true. I was going to make a false statement. I was going to say that if you're running a fireplace, your temperatures drop cold enough where you need a fireplace. But I just looked over to my my living room, and I got a fireplace, and it doesn't get that cold here.
Not all places have a fireplace here, but they're handy.
Yeah, they're nice. I mean, trust me, we don't need it, but it's nice. It's in the winter. If you like I said, the what we call cold, and I know a lot of you
Mhm.
guys in the East Coast and the north part of the country are gonna laugh. It's 40 degrees. That's really cold for us. We're freezing down here at 40. Where I know
Yeah.
for most of our northern friends and of the part of the country, that's like springtime for them. They're like, "What? You don't have a winter," especially
Yeah.
down in Minnesota where it drops into the negatives.
We've been having problems with just, like ice storms freaking
Mhm.
like coming through and it like getting down to like 19 for a couple days and like that's enough to like really like wreak havoc on a lot of plant life that we have here natively even. So it's been challenging, but
You know what?
it really does help control the insects and
Uh,
stuff like that when we get that. Because if we don't get a couple hard freezes a year and stuff like that, like fleas can be like a real problem. And well, mosquitoes are just mosquitoes, and that's just going to happen when it's wet. Like we don't have much of a mosquito problem right now because everything's so dry. We haven't had rain in probably a month. Well, no, that's a lie. We had like a mercy shower one
in
afternoon.
June. That's true. California banned all wood firing fireplaces, wood burning fireplaces. Now everything has to be gas.
Yeah,
That's what's nice about being out here in Arizona now is that I can actually run a wood burning fireplace. And luckily enough, the one that we have at the house is dual. It's set up for gas. As a matter of fact, the first year we ran lumber.
Hmm.
Um, and then uh, this last winter, my wife wanted the gas insert because she wanted the the ability to be able to have turn it on whenever she wanted.
Right.
And but she realized there is a difference. It doesn't heat the same. Uh, we
Mm-mm.
tried that gas, and they're just um, a visual gadget. You know, it's just more for the looks. Whereas the wood burning one, that sucker would heat up the house.
Yeah,
So,
ours heats up the house, and ours is natural gas, but I mean, like, it's part of the AC unit. Like,
oh, okay, no, that's a furnace that you're running then, right?
yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about a fireplace. It's a fireplace that we have,
Mm.
and yeah, that's
Yeah,
exactly right. It's
it's not the same. I have gas in the bottom of my fireplace, and now we have ceramic logs
mhm.
that we put in there, and so it's merely decoration, but you can sit next to it like on the hearth and like really warm yourself up.
Yeah,
So that's kind of nice. So that's on one side of the room. The other side of the room is the 75 gallon with the goldfish in it.
yeah. And so my wife, this coming up winter, she goes, "We're going back to burning wood." Well, and what's nice about it, there's something to be said about burning logs. It's the
True.
sounds, the smell. I really enjoy the smell
Yeah,
of
it's
burning wood.
very ritual. Like I love fire. You know what I mean? Like I think fire is cool. I mean like it's one of the elements, man.
Yep,
Like
and I like
we're
getting up
all
and
into water. You know what
I
I
like
mean?
getting
Like
up
fire's cool too.
and stoking the fire, and I don't know, it's just it's different. It's like June said, it's fake when you're running gas. It really does, for all intended purposes, feel fake. And obviously, that's not the heating source of the house. We have the same thing you have. Our
Hmm.
HVAC system has heating and air conditioning. But it's that nice visual when you're sitting in the living room that you can have a little fire. You know, that's my favorite thing of this house is that I can do that. 'Cause I guess I have a little bit of a pyro in me, so I like playing with fire.
Right.
But yeah. So, but I never really answered your question about getting motivated, huh? Now that I think about
Hey
it, we
man, you
talked.
want to know what? I mean, it happens.
I went on a
I mean, like,
tangent
dude, I
and
mean, like,
never came back.
I'm just asking you to fix my life. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Like, there is no answer, possibly.
Oh well, no. Like I said, one of the things that right now in my lazy stage of all of this that I resorted to is I just put out shorts. That was like the worst thing that could have happened to me as far as creating content on YouTube was then giving me shorts. That's why for a while
Mm,
there, I was really enjoying Instagram because they had that ability to do it. It takes less than a minute. You go in, film 30 seconds of whatever it is. You can take that footage, attach some graphics if you want, put a little bit of music to it, and boom, there it goes. It's a video. And once YouTube went to that, I was sold. And I went ham for a while there. I think it got to the point where I was almost having the same amount of short set as I did regular content. And and nowadays, a lot of my current posts are exactly that. They're just little shorts. uh, I'm like you. I got lazy, but you know, I'm doing this. I still want this to continue to be a hobby for me. So I don't.
same.
When I was making my push to get to 1,000, it got to a point where I was almost burning out. And I was like, because I was trying to do 2 videos a week. And even though I was trying to keep them short, 5 minutes or less, the amount of time that goes into trying to edit a video is what is a put off for me. Because
Same.
I know some people
I have trouble
love.
getting started.
That's not even well. My biggest problem is not it's not getting started, is that I don't record stuff that like I'll go in my fishbowl and say, okay, I'm gonna do something about doing maintenance on the fish room. And instead of putting my camera in a tripod, and I have all the equipment now. I have the wireless microphones that allow me to work and do what Craig does on his streams.
Mhm.
Um, I just get to working and never do it. And then by the time I go, oh, I'm already halfway through, and I go, nobody's interested in seeing this anymore. So I just don't do it. And that's been the biggest struggle for me. And the other thing is that I don't want to fall in the trap of doing the repetitive videos. And what I mean by that is there's so many much better content out there that are doing like a video on how to cycle a tank, for
Right.
example, or how to top 10 this or top 10 that. There's no way in hell I'm going to do a better job than KG Tropicals or Prime Aquatics, and their footage is going to be much better than anything I can cobble together. So I don't even bother. Um, what I do is I'll share with you the stuff that I'm working on, the stuff that projects that I'm doing, but it's it's not a reality to be doing projects every day. There's no way. One, you're going to run out of space. Two,
True.
it's going to get expensive. Uh, you know, uh, unless you're a full blown content creator, a la DIY King, where that's his business, that's his mode of income. It's paying for it, so he's allowed to always be doing something different, and that's fine. But it took him several years to get to that point. I'm
Yeah.
not looking to do that. I've been blessed with a very good job, um, and this is still a
Same.
hobby, and I want to keep it a hobby. What I enjoy from this is what I'm doing with you. Is this interaction? That's really what I really love about this, and everybody else is in the chat, getting an opportunity to have those conversations. That's where I'm at with this. The fish keeping stuff. I'm not going to teach you anything that you don't already know. Uh, the only thing that I think that might be cool is that you get to see some of the fish that I'm keeping, but anybody that's watched any of my content knows that the stuff that I keep is the same thing you're going to see at a PetSmart and a Petco, because that's what I have access to. Uh, but there's I don't know. I like at the very beginning. I was always thinking I wish I had access to different stuff. Um, but I've grown to really appreciate what I have. Then now, I really do enjoy the platies that I have. I know they're the most common fish out there, but I
Hey,
like them.
do you know what is in that collection point?
Platies?
Platies.
Oh,
Dude, and they're invasive.
yeah. Well, they are. They're not endemic to that area. They're from
Yeah, yeah,
Mexico.
and this is on the University of Texas like campus.
Well, one of the things that
They're all like wild colored. It's
yeah.
neat.
Well, that's what Florida. That's what I tell Funk, man. You're so lucky because you can go out there. You don't even never have to go to a pet store because they have mollies, they have platies, they have guppies, gambusias, antlers, you name it. It's out there in the wild for taking. They have Oscars. I was watching a fishing channel the other day that they were fishing out of a drain, and they were pulling all these Oscars out of there. I was like, what the hell? Anything that you can think of that people have kept in aquariums, you can find it in Florida for free. As a matter of fact, I think even uh, Ricky, what's his? Why am I drawing a blank? Why am I drawing a blank? PB Aquatics.
Yeah.
He was out there in one of the reservoirs that they have in the neighborhood that he lived in. He was pulling out some cichlids out of that damn reservoir. So
Oh
it's
yeah,
like,
man. It's like it's the Wild West out there, man. Like that definitely is interesting. You never know what you're gonna pull up.
yeah. So I'm always a little jealous of that they have, but not necessarily really jealous because I know that's a problem
Hmm.
because they are invasive species. But like the mollies that I got up here, um, they're the regular sailfin mollies. I know those
Hmm.
are invasive because they're on the USDA invasive list for this region.
Right.
So somehow the either they were either released or they've kind of made their way up here, but they're here now. And but yeah, no, I'm really enjoying the libraries now. What I'm really finding fascinating, and this is all from one of the streams that we did on Fish Plants y Mas when we had Roy Williams up there with us.
Hmm.
And at the end of the stream, he goes, "Why aren't you keeping any of the endemic species from Mexico?" And it had never dawned on me to do that. He goes, "You're the perfect person to keep those fish." And that kind of led me down a wormhole because I at first, I've heard the term good eat, but I had no idea exactly what it was.
Right.
And then Curtis comes up. I come across Curtis, and he's talking about keeping these good eats, and I'm like, okay, what is this good eat stuff? And now that I've started investigating and seeing it, I was like, oh man, now I gotta have them. And they're live
Right.
bears
Yeah.
too, which is I really like live bears. That's as much as I wanted to hate them. Because I wanted to keep some of the other cooler fish that were
That's what I
quote
determined I wanted
unquote,
to do first was live bears.
yeah. And I had the you know, like I was telling you, you always want what you can't have. And until I realized that, you know what, why fight the parameters that I have, and why don't I just keep fish that are going to thrive in my water parameters? So that's why I said, you know what am I doing? Once I learned more about fish keeping, I said, why am I trying to fight an uphill battle? Why am I trying to create soft water to keep species that are not going to do well if I don't do a lot of adjustments to keep them? So the only reason I haven't pulled the trigger on the good eats is because everything that I'm seeing requires that their temperatures do not exceed the 70s. And that's where I'm kind of now, oh, I really want them. Um, but I know my summers are brutal. Unless I can figure out a way to convince my wife to allow me to keep those specific tanks uh, in the house when the summer comes. I don't know if
Right.
I'm going to be able to do it, or I'm going to have to figure out a way to hide them and bring them
Which
in.
means those tanks are going to have to look a certain way. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's
Yeah.
going to take a little bit of planning.
Well, or more than anything else, I think it's going to be more out of sight. So I might have to figure out something with totes that I can slide into a closet where
There
where
you
the-
go.
where where she doesn't have to see them. But the problem is, uh, I don't think there's a single closet in this house that's not occupied by her stuff. And she always tells me she doesn't have clothes. So I'm like, okay, we need to figure something out because there's like 4 different closets in this house, and I have a space about that big where I keep my clothes. And everything else is taken up by you, but you don't have anything to wear. I got it.
It's tough, man.
Yeah, she's got now that the kids are no longer that they've been out of the house for quite some time. She's gradually started taking possession of those closets.
Nice.
So, uh, yeah, closet space out here is at a high premium.
Well, I think that we have just gone over our planned time, and the next stream is Belinda is going to
Oh,
be
okay,
going. She
nice.
always has some interesting stuff to show us, possibly more crystals.
Oh, cool.
Should be a good stream. Hello, George.
Hey, George. All we need is aqua balls, and we'll have all the Georges.
Yeah, man. Get all the Georges together.
Somebody said we need to stream together and have the Georges stream.
Dude, I would watch that. You know what I mean? It's like all good. Hey man, I just want to tell the community, thank you for being here. Yeah, man, we were talking about these gambusia here,
Mhm.
local to town. They live downtown. Uh, and talking about motivation and life and everything.
We did
So
everything but talk about those 2 topics.
hey man, it's perfect. It's exactly how I wanted it to go. Do you have anything to say before we end the broadcast, sir?
No, other than thanks for joining us again, and you guys had to put up with me twice today, and thank you for doing that. Well,
Hey
actually,
man,
three
a
times because
double
I
serving. Nothing wrong with
No,
that.
it's 3 times because I actually jumped onto Berto's stream this morning too. So
Oh, you did? That's great,
this
dude. I'll have to
this
catch
is
that.
the most I've streamed in one day.
Well, hey man, you don't even look tired. You
Oh
did
no,
great.
yeah, I need to hit the bed because I got to get up at 4 in the morning. So,
All right.
but thank you, Mike, for having me up here, and thank you guys for being here. You know, it's like I said earlier in my stream. It's I don't know. It makes me feel uh, weird that so many people are willing to support me, and I'm very thankful. I mean, I don't know how else to express it. I'm very thankful for that.
I come from a place of thankfulness as well, and thank you for being here, bro. Till
Oh no,
next time,
thank you.
folks.